Tonight, we have a closer look at the Air Force One. Soul Knowledge shares an origin story on the shoe. We also have a closer look at the PlayStation version of the Air Force One. And we also see the work of a local artist who has done some customizing work on the Air Force One as his canvas. I'm so glad you guys made it through for this episode. It's gonna be another special one and you will not be missing out. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Soul Knowledge, the home of the sneaker story and the home of sports culture insights. If you're interested in a nice challenge, at the end of every single episode, we reveal a fraction of a sneaker for 1 second. We call it one sneaker in 1 second. And it's up for you to try to identify which sneaker that is. So give it a go, reply in the comments section, and let us know if you got the shoe right this week. So the Air Force One first goes to market in the year 1982 and was designed by Kilgore. Now this is the same guy that brought you the Air Jordan 2 and the Nike Sock Racer, as well as being influential in the design of so many of Nike's track spikes. So Bruce understands the athletic shoe business very well. So let's start off with the name, the Air Force One. Now as you know, the Air Force One is the name of the airplane used by the American president. And by immediately giving the shoe that name, it kind of elevates its positioning from any other basketball shoes on the wall. The design inspiration for the Air Force One comes from the most bizarre place. Bruce Kilgore has a look at a Nike hiking shoe called the Air Approach, and actually has a look at several of its features and moves it directly into the Air Force One. The first of which was the fact that the Air Approach offered hikers an immense amount of stability because it was high, laced high, and kept the foot locked into place. The first Air Force One to launch was a high with high laces, but also had a very high strap right at the top section of the shoe. Keep in mind that in the early 80s, Nike's Air technology was still relatively new, and Nike had used Air in many different sporting codes or leisure activities, and in this case hiking for the Air Approach. And people who had been hiking in the Approach just felt that they had more joy with their walks. Longer walks, less fatigue. And Bruce Kilgore liked that idea and took the idea of Air and also added it into the Air Force One. So the Air Force One is actually the first ever basketball shoe to contain Nike's Air technology. Now that makes perfect sense given the fact that when you play basketball, you exert about 4.5 times your body weight onto the shoe. So it's a sport that actually does require an immense amount of cushioning. Now, what basketball players did in the early 80s, because basketball shoes were so hard, was that they used 2 to 3 pairs of thick cushioned socks as a means of absorbing that impact. But the addition of Air just made so much sense. And that is why people who were playing in the Air Force One just enjoyed it so much. It was a complete game changer and a perfect fit for Nike's Air technology. In this case, just remember it was full-length encapsulated Air for the Air Force One. The final consideration given to the Air Approach was its outsole. Now, it had thick, aggressive lugs for any hiker, which meant excellent traction and keeping them on the path consistently. Now, although these thick lugs can't particularly be translated into a basketball court scenario, Bruce Kilgore has a look at a new way of creating great traction for the athletes. He looks again to the idea of the concentric circle. So circle within a circle within a circle within a circle. And what this does is it offers multi-directional tractioning and the opportunity to very easily pivot around the court. But it gets placed in the forefoot and also in the heel of the Air Force One. Also, you see this fine detailing that runs around the entire border of the outsole. That detailing was actually inspired by the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris because of its detailing. That is what Kilgore thought would be a great border to just offer that lug type traction all around the shoe. Now this one is very frequently overlooked, but I want to show you something quite interesting. Have a look here. If you see the upper, you'll notice that the lacing is actually zigzagged, one up, one down, one up, one down. This means that you could actually lace the shoe to give you more or less stability. Now maybe if you're a skinny cat and you need to actually have the shoe give you more stability. You only use the inner line to lace the shoe and give you that feel. Now, if you're a guy with a wider foot, you can actually only use the outside to lace it. And that is a means of customization frequently overlooked, but part of the Air Force One story. Now, if you thought I've said as much as I could about Air Force One and its innovation, Bruce Kilgore delivers yet another message for us. That is the introduction of this Capsule. Now, this Capsule is quite unique because it's like a combination of a midsole, outsole, but also creating an amazing footbed which houses all of that traction, all of that support, and all of that cushioning just resting over there. It creates a very pleasing aesthetic and a fit unlike anything else before. So the Air Force One enjoys its life cycle from the year 1982 to the year 1984. Nike decides to close up shop and says, we had a good run, thanks for your time. But there are 3 retailers in Baltimore in the United States that says, guys, we need to start production up on that shoe again. We have not finished selling it. Consumers have loved it and they just can't get enough of it. Can we please have another run on the shoe? Those 3 retailers are Charlie Rudo Sports, Downtown Locker Room, and Cinderella Shoes. They become known as the 3 Amigos. So Nike gives into the demands of the 3 Amigos and gives them access to 2 colors, the white royal and the white chocolate. Tells the guys to buy 1,200 units per colors and the shoe sells out. And this is the first time that Nike actually reissues a shoe. Now, the Air Force One has been used by many customizers as a blank canvas to do some amazing work. I would just like to highlight 2 people, Jason Turner and Sasha Spence, who do their own artwork for Sneaker Inc. ZA. This is fresh. This is the Air Force One Triple White, which has been given a donut application to it. They've created it for one of their customers who's nicknamed Cookie and enjoys sweet things not only in his mouth but on his feet. Look at their work at Sneaker Inc. ZA, and if you need some customizing work or even repair work, hit them up. Now, about those Air Force One PlayStation collaborations. These sneakers have been made available to Soul Knowledge by a company called Gamefinity. And these are actually owned by the CEO of the company called Mario dos Santos. And I suspect this cat has possibly got the only pair within South Africa. If you've got another pair, you hit me up, let me know. But I think this is the only one that I'm actually holding right now. And a few things that I want to point out about the shoe. And at first glance, it looks like the PS4's colors. Black with a blue pop out. But also, the blue in the swoosh is actually their logo that is popped through, containing the silhouettes of the square, circle, triangle, and X, as you would see commonly on a DualShock PlayStation 4 controller. The shoe also features sock liner with branding PlayStation and Nike, and it has a translucent outsole showing the square, circle, triangle, and X. I'm truly appreciative of Gamefinity and also of Mario, who's given us the opportunity to have a closer look at this. This is a really special pair that was released in 2018 as part of the PlayStation E3 campaign in Los Angeles. PlayStation. Also special thanks to Andy Erasmus, who has made his shoes available to us, the Air Force Mid and the Air Force Lows. And I want to tell you that I actually do not own a single pair of Air Force Ones because they look stupid on my feet. But everybody else who seems to be wearing them just makes the shoe look amazing. But when I put them on my feet, it just doesn't work. So here's the question I want to ask you. Is there a pair of shoes which you just think is so cool and looks amazing with everybody else, except you? Tell me what shoe that is, send me a picture, let me know what it is. And guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of Soul Knowledge. Your soul knowledge has been increased, and I'm so glad I could share that with you. Ciao.